Hello, guys, and welcome back to Anything Goes with Sania and Leah. It is episode 3 now, so we're really getting into the swing of things, and excited for another podcast, another Monday, and another week on prep for me.
Fun times. How's
So
it going?
it's going well. I say well, I'm only like 3, maybe 4 pounds down, which is a little bit frustrating, but like visually I genuinely do see, like, I can feel like
Yeah,
like I can feel it visually. um but it's one of those things, like, this is the same as last year. Like, the start, it's like, oh, what are we doing? Like, my body's like, what are we doing? We're dieting? Nah, we're not dieting. No, and then as soon as it realizes it's dieting, I
yeah,
can't stop losing weight.
yeah,
But it's initially, for me, it's a little bit of a head fuck, because it's
yeah,
like, I want to I want to be losing all this weight. Like, I
yeah,
want to be losing like 10 pounds in 3 weeks. Like, that's just how I am. And
yeah, yeah,
I feel like when you're in a prep anyway, or any diet phase, like, no matter how much you lose, you want to be able to have lost more. But we're just taking it. I'm finding it easy still. Like, my
yeah,
food
yeah.
is down, but it's not really that low. My cardio is at 40 minutes every day now,
Ooh,
which was tough to get used to for the first 2 days. And now I'm just, because I've got work, like, I've got loads of social media to do, I've got
yeah,
WhatsApps to get back to, I'm watching a series. Like, I do like today, for example, all I did was work, 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 work. And I was like, 40 minutes. Holy shit, that was quick.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, at the moment, loads of energy, feeling really good. I'm at that point where I'm like, a lot of the water retention is probably gone.
yeah,
And I'm starting to, like, feel really, like, confident in myself, like, because my stomach goes straight
yeah,
away. I
yeah.
went into Ultimate Fitness, because that's where I have my studio, and they literally, every person that worked there who came in was like, "Oh, your face, like, you dieting?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like,
Yeah,
"You're..."
I did think you could see it a bit actually. When you put, I think you were training in like a crop t-shirt or you put something on your Instagram, and I did look and think, oh, yeah, you can see it a little bit.
Yeah, my face and my stomach, and my it goes like face, stomach, arms. They
Yeah,
go the first, and it's good and it's bad. It's bad for the face because I look like a cracker very quickly. Like, my face now, I really like it. I feel like if I was to ever stop bodybuilding, this is probably the composition that I genuinely probably would
yeah,
love to stay at, and maybe a little bit leaner. But any further, my face, no. No,
yeah.
and I live in Coventry, so crackheads are normal here. Not good.
Oh God.
How's your diet going? How many weeks are you in now? Is it not
I'm,
your last
I'm
week?
nearly done.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's like one of your final weeks, right?
Yeah, I've done on Friday. So
Nice.
yeah, to be fair, I've been the same. So I was actually talking to Dan in my check-in when I checked in on Friday, and he was saying it's actually a really good thing we've done this because it's probably shown that I'm probably not quite ready to prep yet in terms of like how my body has responded, because I lost like 6 pounds in the first week, and then it's literally come up and down and up and down and literally hasn't changed for like the last 5 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm literally like, I think I'm a pound and a half lighter now than I was at the end of the first week of the fat loss phase.
Do you look relatively better,
I
or...
definitely look leaner, I think, in my photos. So it's just the weight's not reflected, but I still haven't progressed as like quickly as I expected. But I think when I would go back to my last prep, I'd done like hand compete for 3 years. So I was obviously in a very, very good place because I'd just built food up, done a couple of like mini cut type things. But then when I think about it, like I didn't get my cycle back till like October last year.
Right.
So really, I've only had a regular period for like 3 months before I started dieting again. So I just think I haven't really had enough time.
Yeah. How did you find, because obviously you did the British finals when I competed.
Yeah.
You competed soon after that. How did you find the second bit of prep? Was that hard to lose weight
Yeah.
as well? Was it really hard?
So no, my body actually responded pretty well then, to be honest. But yeah, that was literally 2 back-to-back preps, and in between that, I think I just got my period back before I started prep again. But I was fine then. It was hard mentally, I think, to go from finishing prep to having like 2 months off and then going back into prep again. That was really, really hard. Like I remember saying to Will, I was like, I literally can't do this, I'm gonna have to stop prep. But then once you find your feet with it, you're okay. So I was okay then, like my body responded really well, like all good. But yeah, it's just this time round. So I think
remember it's a mini cut as well, like
yeah. And it's only been 6 weeks, so it's not loads of time to lose a load of weight either.
I find like I always find like mini cuts a lot harder, like as well.
Mentally as well, I think.
Like just because it's so aggressive and like especially when you've done a prep, like you know what a diet can kind of result in, but that's not the goal with a mini cut. You're just there to either get your appetite back or to just kind of like to reel things back in a little bit so you can push up a bit more. But like it's like I always find mini cuts a little bit more difficult. Just struggle with them a lot more.
Yeah. But I'm excited to get my food back up now. So
that's what you wanted. That it was mainly appetite.
Yeah, it was mainly appetite and just like I think I was just getting a bit slack with getting meals in and stuff like that. So I think it's just really like driven me forward to be like, right, I need to just be like on this now for the rest of the off season. So it's good in that way. And I am like half a stone lighter. So I mean, it probably would have been half a stone in the other direction if I'd have just carried on. So I guess it's like, it's done its job, hasn't it?
Wow, it's got your appetite back and now you're ready. So
you've
got that further bit on to push. So that's good.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So a good little update on both of us there. Leah is going to be eating loads more food whilst I will still be decreasing. But it's all well and good. So we obviously did the podcast last week and we had questions. So we thought because we had some left over, we thought why not do the same this week, guys, and also ask a few, like put another question box up for you guys who maybe missed out on it last week. And we definitely got some decent like last week I had awful questions. You guys asked me some shit questions, like it probably wasn't even you guys, it was probably Instagram bots or whatever, but this time I've actually got decent questions, so I feel like I can actually contribute now. So we're basically
we've got a lot, to be fair, haven't we?
Yeah, and we're definitely there's definitely a question for you, like we're going to be quite brief with the questions because we want to be able to give you kind of like staple answers for this podcast, but there are definitely certain topics that we have a little bit more of a passion about and we feel like we would love to educate you guys a little bit more about it, that we'll probably do like separate podcasts for. So if there's any question, you know, where you think we've been almost too brief and you want to know more about, then definitely let us know, give us a message on Instagram or whatever, and we'll happily, you know, see if we can do that for you, essentially.
Full brief breakdown.
Yeah, a full in-depth one. So should we start with that a funny question just to kind of
the first one that I just read a minute ago?
Yeah, do that one.
This is disgusting.
Just because it will make you guys think, because you'll go, well, actually, what would I do? Because
I've been thinking about this all weekend. Okay, are you ready for this? Would you rather eat a chocolate flavored poo or a poo flavored chocolate?
A chocolate flavored poo or flavored. I have to like in my head envision it. So it's actually chocolate, but it's flavored poo.
Yes. So it's actually chocolate, but it's flavored like poo, or it's actually a poo, but it's flavored like chocolate.
I would probably eat the shit that tastes nice, but I know it sounds gross.
That's gross.
I know it's gross, but
well, you wouldn't know when you're eating it if it tastes like chocolate. But I said, I was talking to Will about this and I said, what about the texture though? Would that be like chocolate? But then that just put me off and I was like, no, I would definitely.
No, because you know, like rabbit poo, they're like pellets, aren't they? They're hard.
Oh God, I feel
like if we're talking specifics, human poo, I'd rather taste shit because I'm not eating.
Oh, my stomach is actually heaving a bit. I think a bit of sick it just came up in my mouth.
But if it was rabbit poo, I'd totally eat poo that tastes like chocolate. Do you know what I mean? Like it's different.
Yeah. No, I think I agree. I was thinking like
human
regular
poo.
shit.
Yeah. It depends what type of poo. If we're talking wet diarrhea, then no.
Oh, don't. I'm so queasy, honestly. Like, I forget so easily.
Okay, right. We'll move on. Okay.
Do this.
Imagine whilst Leah just projectile vomits all over the screen. That would get some serious views. Okie dokie. So now let's go on to some questions. So where did the other ones go? So let's start with an easy one. Okay. When is the best time to start looking for bikinis? So I'm assuming what they mean by that is basically ordering their bikini or, you know, getting a rental one. What would you say?
So when I've spoken to like bikini, like the people I've got bikinis off before, they've said that the latest really that you need to be kind of ordered and like submitted is I think it was around the 12-week out mark, but I always think better to get it sorted early, because the thing is, right, you can pay for your bikini, you can kind of at least put your foot in the door with like, you know, speaking to someone, putting down a deposit, and then at least, you know, you've definitely got a bikini. Because the thing is you don't necessarily have to pay for the whole thing at the start. You know, you can kind of come to the color and whatever later down the line. But I would probably say at the start of your prep, like, personally for me, probably when I start prep, I would reach out and be like, hey, I'm looking to get a bikini, and then go through like colors and stuff, because they'll get your measurements much closer to your show day, so you don't have to worry about waiting until you're ready, because they'll get last measurements literally. I think mine got to like 4 weeks before my show. So I just think start your prep, like put your deposit down, get your foot in the door, and then at least you know you've got a bikini, because the last thing you want is to be stressing about finding a bikini when you're like 6 weeks out.
This is it. And also, girls, don't get stressed about like, you know, taking your measurements at like 4 like weeks out. Like the way that bikini workers basically work is that they'll have like slots on how many bikinis they can fit in the month, and then that's why you pay the deposit, because you'll take that slot. So they know, so when they take it 4 weeks out, like they know what shows for. They know when you need your bikini. So don't be stressing out about when your bikini is going to arrive, because 9 times out of 10, because I find a lot of, because I was like this, I was like, oh my God, like I'm 3 weeks out and I don't have my bikini. You don't need your bikini yet. So like, it's one of those things where it's like, don't stress. A lot of the time, if something does go wrong with the bikini as well, you can literally send it first class, and then you could get it within the week. So do not worry, like don't stress about too much. But I'd literally say the same as you. The sooner you can pay the deposit, the better. The sooner you can book your slot on that month, the better. And then when it comes to measurements and stuff, your bikini person will know everything, like so many times. So I wouldn't
as long as you've got your foot in the door, like towards the start of prep, you're all good. And you know what, you can always grab a bikini. Like I actually lent my bikini out last year, both of my figure suits, to someone that jumped in a figure show, like one of my friends that jumped in a figure show last minute. So there's so many people out there. If you put a message out on Instagram, there'll be someone out there if you're really desperate that can lend you a bikini.
And there's also rental bikinis and stuff like that as well. You can literally do, like worst case scenario. It's not it's not the worst thing, but obviously it is our costume, so of course I can understand the stress, because I went through the stress. Right, let's go on to your question. What have you got?
Okay, I'll do a serious one as well, and then, or shall I do a funny one? I've got quite a few funny ones.
Do whatever.
Okay, I'll do a serious one. Tips for first time doing a shoot, which I feel like we could definitely do a whole episode on. So maybe let's do like 2 tips each to keep it brief.
What do they mean though? Like within the diet or on shoot day?
I think just generally, like if someone's first shoot, like what advice generally would you give? Maybe do one for their preparation and one for the day.
You go first.
Okay. So I guess my tip for the shoot prep, I'm going to take this from like advanced like lifestyle perspective type thing. So my advice for the prep would be, make sure your actions align with the results that you want. Because for example, if you are wanting to like get really lean and, you know, do a shoot from that perspective, you obviously need to make sure you're treating it like a strict type prep thing if you're wanting to like really push yourself. But for example, I've had girls that do it just from a confidence perspective to like do a shoot and enjoy it, and you don't necessarily need to diet for a shoot, in which case you can probably be a bit more flexible with your approach towards it. So I think the last thing you want is to get to your shoot and not feel the way that you wanted to feel. So I think it's just really important to align, you know, how do you see yourself on that shoot day, whether that be dieted or not dieted, it doesn't really matter, but just making sure that you are acting in alignment with that, you know, that goal that you have. Yeah, because I think sometimes, you know, I've had it in the past where a client, for example, has done a shoot and they've been like, oh, I really wanted to be leaner, but they were going out and eating out every single weekend and, you know, not kind of factoring it in. So I think it's just making sure you're in alignment with, you know, how you want to feel on that day.
You see yourself.
That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, for me, like, I've never prepped someone to begin with. Like, I'm not an online coach. But I think what my advice for the shoot would be is figure out what type, like, it's very similar to yours. Figure out what type of shoot you want to do. Do you want to do one that's sexy? Do you want to do one that's in lingerie? Do you want to do one that's at the gym? Regardless of which one you want to do one that makes, if it's your first shoot, do something that makes you feel empowered, but you're also comfortable with. Also choose a photographer that maybe you have spoken to before, someone you know has gone to them before, just so that you know that you can feel comfortable that they're taking photos of you, and that maybe if you've gotten to know them prior to your shoot, you'll be less nervous, because everyone gets nervous for a shoot and buy something maybe to, like, you know, get that confidence. You know, like, we all know when we all spend a lot of money on like makeup, hair, and a good outfit, we feel great about ourselves and our confidence is so high. Maybe save up to do that for your shoot, so that essentially you have that confidence and, you know, you're doing the shoot that you want to do, so that you can almost say to yourself, I've done that, and that really did boost my confidence. Because regardless of whether you did it to be lean or you did it for confidence, like, we all do a shoot to kind of commemorate, you know, how we are and who we are, and, you know, the achievements you've made and stuff like that. So fully send it. If you, that's in a weird way, that's what I would do. Like, don't just kind of like just do it and, like, I don't know, get your old knickers or your old gym gear. Actually, like, invest into the shoot as well. Don't just invest into kind of like just the, you know, just the bits behind it. Does that make sense? Like, I hope.
100%. And I also agree, like, with the makeup, like, if you can get your makeup done, like, get a tan, like, get your nails done, because the more confident you feel on the day, it'll show. And I just think if you feel incredible and, you know, you all like glammed up, and, you know, get your outfit sorted early, because this is what I said to all my girls, like, order loads of stuff, get it on Klarna, and then just send it back, right, if it doesn't fit or you don't like it. But do it early, because the last thing you want is to be stressing a week before you shoot, being like, oh my God, I don't have anything I feel comfortable with. So just order loads of stuff and find, like, what you feel really good in.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think I'm trying to think if there's like something that maybe I would have as like kind of like the dieting, but you kind of said everything that I would recommend, because with photo shoots, there's so many different goals with the photo shoot. If it was like more for like a prep standpoint, I would say eat your food. But obviously, like, not everyone does a shoot to be lean, which I completely agree with. Like, I think Loz Vickers, she did a shoot and she was like,
I saw that
season, and I genuinely thought, wow, I actually really appreciate that. And I think that's really ballsy, because you think of a photo shoot and you think your classic female, skinny, lean, and, you know, completely dolled up. But like, for her, for example, that was completely out of her comfort zone. And I thought that was really good. And I genuinely, like, regardless of your goal, use the shoot maybe to put yourself out your comfort zone. Maybe that would be my next one.
I agree.
Right. So, okay. This is about prep. This is quite a long one, so you'll have to listen up. Right. First of all, do you girls suffer with food meltdowns during prep, opening a food cupboard and losing your shit? How do you cope when this happens, and what are your tips to avoid this and to move forwards? Also, if food meltdowns during prep is inevitable, what is the least worst thing to do on a meltdown? So
I think we should break that up into 3 parts.
I was gonna say, let's basically go. Have we ever suffered with food meltdowns in prep? it depends what you specify as meltdowns. My food focus is really, really high, but I never had a meltdown because I controlled what was in my cupboards, and I was very strong on knowing what I had to do and knowing that food wasn't anything to do with that. Me personally, I was very food focused, in the sense where, what I mean by that is, the food that I had, leave me the fuck alone, let me eat it. I'm hungry, fuck off, let me enjoy this food. Food focused, where I watched maybe videos. No, I never did that because I knew that that would mess me up. But I was very much more like I would smell food and I would appreciate my friends going like, oh, it's really cool that you can have that. Like, I would never have a meltdown about it because I knew what my goals were, and I knew personally for me. And I know people do have meltdowns, but I personally haven't.
So essentially, like, obviously you were hungry, food focus was high, but there wasn't ever like an occasion where you're like, fuck it, I'm gonna eat the cupboard.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I had a few 10 cal jellies. And I'd have loads of gum. And I'd have loads of Pepsi Max cherries. So my food was high, but I never had a meltdown. Have you ever had a meltdown where you've just seen someone eat it and you've just gone, I just want it? Like,
so my very, very first prep, when I was I'd just
the prep.
The prep that wasn't the prep, you know, if you've watched the previous episode, you'll have heard about this. But yeah, the disastrous prep, basically, where I shouldn't have prepped. Yes, multiple meltdowns, like, should not have done that prep, crying, like, this, we should probably like do an episode on like relationship with food at some point, but just awful relationship with food, like really struggling with binge eating. It's not something that I really like talk about that much anymore, but I really struggled with binge eating. Like, the amount of food I would consume was ridiculous in one sitting, like ridiculous. So yeah, at that first prep, like, I was massively overeating, like binge eating, and then eating like nothing for like the next day, try and like compensate for it. So yeah, in that first prep, yes, I did have meltdowns, but since then I spent like 3 years working on my relationship with food, like didn't diet, like really sorted myself out basically. And since then, no, haven't. Like, I'm the same as you, like, love food, yes, get very hungry, but you just have to think, I genuinely think if you're kind of struggling that much in terms of maybe overeating, it's probably not the right time to be doing a prep, and potentially need to take some time to maybe build food up, get a better relationship with food and things like that. But I do think, like you said, only having things in the house that, you know, are, if you can, that are in your like meal plan as such, or whatever you have it in, to try and make it as easy as possible. And also accepting that, you know, you are going to be hungry, there is going to be an element of food focus there, because you're like prolonged dieting.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I think where I started prep, I was sick of food. Like, I've never ever, and I'm very lucky, I've never had an issue with food. The only time I could actually probably say where I would have food meltdowns is post show. That's another story. But I can understand meltdowns and like stuff like that. And then, like, I would never say I binge eat, because I know it's very specific. It's people use it very loosely, and a lot of people, you know, get offended by people just saying it. I'm not saying I got into doing that, and I'm not saying I had that, but I'm saying the aspect of binging and then restricting was definitely something that I found myself getting into. But I very quickly became honest with my coach, and we kind of handled that. I think if you're opening your cupboards and losing your shit, I
don't know by losing shit it means like eating everything in the cupboard, or just like really struggling like emotionally.
Either way, if you're living with housemates, family, maybe you've got kids, obviously we don't know the backstory. Maybe you just need to put your food in a separate cupboard. Maybe you just need to have a separate shelf. And maybe, because I was very lucky, I could control what was in my house. My housemate was dieting at the same time, so nothing was in the house that I couldn't eat. It would just be me going to the shop, and obviously I wasn't going to buy something I couldn't have.
Yeah.
But maybe just separating your food to their food might help you, because then obviously you're not seeing their food. And to kind of help you moving forward, I would probably, the only thing I can say in the nicest way possible, suck it up, buttercup, you're in a prep, you're going to be hungry, you just have to get through it. It's as simple. And in the nicest way possible. There's no prep hack apart. Like, people say Pepsi Max Cherry Diet Coke is a prep hack. It's not. It's just a filler. Baby spoons is not a prep hack. It just makes you eat a little bit slower. Like, there's not really many prep hacks. You do generally, like, this drink doesn't stop me from being hungry. I'm still hungry when I'm in a prep. You just have to think end game. You have to flip. Like, I'm sorry, like, I can't give you any advice apart from move your food away from the cupboard and get on with it.
Yeah, I think there's things you can do to make life a bit easier. Like you said, like, separate your food. If you are able to control the food you've got in your house, make your life easier, you know, make sure yeah, and also what I did, like when I was dieting, when I was living with my family, I would just not be in the room with them when they were eating the family meals. Because if I'm sat and there's a flipping spaghetti bolognese with cheese being cooked, I'm flipping salivating everywhere, you know, like, oh my God, spaghetti bolognese. It's left on the side. I'm like, oh yeah. But I think, you know, if you can separate yourself, like, I just made sure, right, don't go in the kitchen when they're cooking, take myself away, go for a walk, come back, and then make my own food and go and eat that separately. So at least I could have that, like, you know, that separation. I think you want to make your environment as easy as you can for yourself to try and, like, you know, make it
the thing there is an option,
because you basically want to, like, reduce the amount of willpower you've got to use, because no one's got a lot unlimited willpower. So make your life as easy as you can. But I think, like you said, it's going to be hard. There comes a time when you just have to think, well, you know what, this is it. If I want to prep and I want to get on stage, like, it is going to test you at times.
You're going to get to that point, whether you have nothing in your cupboards, just your meals, or whether you don't have a family, let's say you live on your own. Like, you're going to get to you could quite literally go to the shop and buy whatever you want. Like you said, you just have to have the willpower, and it's hard, and I can appreciate that, and I know that, but it's a prep. What did you expect?
And you know what? I think I had days even on my last prep when I was like, it was really hard, like, mentally, and like I did have, you know, the odd cry every so often, and I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore, like, I'm so hungry, like, I'm so tired. But at the end of the day, you have your meltdown, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you just get on with it if you really want to do it. And also be honest with your coach as well. Tell your coach how you're feeling.
Just say to your mate or your family or your husband or whatever, I'm having a shit day and I need to talk to someone, and just make your mind busy, or just go into your bed and cry. Either one.
One of them works. It is hard, isn't it? I think, honestly, it's mentally sometimes, like, so testing. And I think even the people who are at the top of the game are going to have days where they, like, really struggle as well. But I think, you know, you either kind of get your head down and crack on and kind of, you know, suck it up, or you think, okay, actually, you know what, I'm maybe not in a position to do this right now, it's not the right time, or actually I'm really not enjoying this. Because I think if you have more days than when you're not enjoying it than when you are, you've got to really question as to whether it's the right thing for you to do as well.
And is it the right time? Because a lot of the time people rush into it.
100%.
Right, let's go on to the next question. My question or your question?
Oh, sorry, got sidetracked.
Sorry for the sniffles, guys, as well. I've got that really disgusting cold that's going around. I tried to get all my sniffles in before, but...
And it is very attractive. This is a funny one. Could you do a dirty bulk where you're 30 kg over stage weight if it meant you won everything? So let's just clarify. Dirty bulk, basically, like, eating as much as you can, getting a bit on the chunky side to try and... Do you think 30 kg, that's a lot of weight?
Are you joking? Come on. I did that in my first prep. I was okay, maybe it wasn't 30 kg, but I lost like 20 kilo. I'd 100% do
How
that.
many pounds is that? How many pounds is 30 kilograms? That's like 60 pounds. So over 60 pounds.
Like 65 is enough.
No, 66 pounds. That is a lot of weight.
I would. Yeah, of course I would.
I would weigh like 200 kilos. No, 200 pounds, not 200 kilos.
I was like,
200 pounds. I would weigh like 200 pounds.
yeah, to be honest, like I think I say I would do it. I'd probably find it hard, but like I'm quite good at
Eating.
eating, but also kind of like not looking at my physique for what it is.
Yeah.
Like I can in an off season I'm very much like la 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 la. Like, I think I'm skinny when I'm not. Like because I've always been a skinny girl, so I just always think that I'm skinny, and like I just always love the off season because I have a big bum.
Yeah.
So for me, like I probably struggle a little bit because 30 kilos is a lot, but
Yeah.
I'd do it if that meant that I made the progress that I needed to win.
Yeah.
Then how? Yeah. Yes, I'm doing that. Yeah.
I feel like I could suck it up short term, especially because like
come on, if you can win everything, you would do it. If
it meant I was gonna make more progress, yeah, I would do it.
100%. Easy.
Okay. That was a good cue.
Right. Okay, so this is a bit of a story time. It wants for tips. Okay, so this person said, when I competed for the first time, I could, and this is her only time so far, I could not stop shaking. It never happened when I practiced or leading up to the show. But when I stepped on stage, I instantly got uncontrollable shakes that worsened when I tried to pose, which made me wobble. It affected everything. Any tips to help? I've got loads of tips. Loads.
You go first.
First of all, by that, I'm assuming when you practiced on your own or with a select few amount of people that you trusted and that you didn't feel embarrassed about with who's watching you pose. Now, I say to all of my clients, put yourself out your comfort zone before you step on stage. Do not stay and pose in your house. Go from posing in your house and getting comfortable with your posing and learning how to pose. Then start posing in the middle of the gym. Then start posing in a bikini. Maybe not in the middle of the gym, but maybe in like a public studio where someone may accidentally walk in or whatever. Then go into a group posing session. And this is where I get my girls. And I don't know about other posing coaches, but I specifically will get my girls to pose on their own whilst the other girls are watching, because it puts them under pressure and it gets you to understand some sort of pressure that you could feel on show day. And then go to a stage workshop where there will be loads of girls and you will be in your bikini. You will be posing in front of people. Put yourself in uncomfortable positions, because if you are that naive where you feel confident posing in the mirror on your own, but don't think you're not going to be nervous when there's hundreds of people watching, you've got something coming for you. Because no matter how seasoned you are, I can guarantee you most competitors get nervous. But
everyone gets a bit nervous, don't they?
But you've just got to prepare. There's no real way to prepare you. There's no real way to prepare you. It's as simple as that. But can you kind of learn from how you felt from group posing sessions and posing in the gym and getting used to it? And yes, you will get better at it each time. So the more times you can do it, the better. That would be my first move.
Yeah, I agree. And obviously it's obviously kind of nerve related, isn't it? But I think just cut yourself a bit of slack if it's your first time competing. Obviously it's all new, like you're going to be nervous. I remember the first time I competed, I was literally walking on stage thinking, what on earth am I doing?
Oh my God. She said uncontrollable shakes. I had the shakes. Like I was so like genuinely so stompy on my feet. Like if, for example, a lot of people would come up to me from my first show and say like, the posing was immaculate. It was really, really, really good. But then Beth and Tom, who had seen my posing like every single day for like the last 12 weeks, was like, wow, what the fuck? Like you were nervous. Like what the hell? Because they knew what my full potential was. And I didn't show that on stage because I was so nervous. but then when I came on stage again for the overall, they were like, it was like someone completely different.
Yeah.
Like you loved it up there. Like you looked great. Like you looked like you enjoyed it. And the first time you step on stage, the first time you do anything, come on, tell me you're not nervous.
Yeah, there's gonna be nerves.
You're gonna be nervous. And you can't stop wobbles. You just have to put yourself in a situation where you're doing something similar so you can understand how you're going to feel. Understand that you can say, I've done this in front of 50 women already. What's another 100?
Yeah, it's like damage limitation essentially.
Literally. But I promise you, like you go on stage first time, you're going to be nervous. And I say this to all my clients, please do not expect to go on stage and pose perfectly. I was like, I'm going to be honest with you, you're going to fuck up. You're going to
have a little wobble.
Yeah, you're going to fuck up. You're going to get something wrong. You're going to get the routine wrong. You're going to glute pop at the wrong time. But who's going to know? All I say is fake it till you make it, plaster a smile on your face, and no one will know the difference, because no one did with me.
Yeah. I remember when I did my routine and I literally got half the, I was like, can't remember the next bit. So I just winged the last half, and you know what? No one knows.
Yeah, literally me, apart from I just stood there like this. And I think quite a few people knew, because I was like, what? And then I just did this and then turned around. But yeah,
it's all good.
It just I think people expect it on first timers shows anyway as well. But again, it's do it. Practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect in the sense of practice in front of people that make you uncomfortable.
Yes.
Right. Another question.
Yeah, this one kind of relates actually. Have you ever had a problem handling backstage pressure?
You know what? PCA shows I think are lovely. And
I agree.
I say, if you genuinely want to have a really good first show experience, you want to have fun, you want to have nice people surrounded by you, you want a well-run federation, I promise you now, you won't find anything better than PCA. It's fun, it's got good music, well-run, backstage is fabulous, people are genuinely nice. The people who work for PCA are genuinely nice.
Yeah, agree.
Like, genuinely, I've not had a bad experience because I've only competed with PCA, but I've had with other federations, and I wouldn't, if that was the case, then I would just know that federation is probably not for me, or I would find a way around it.
Yeah. The only one that I got really, I kind of got 10 minutes before when I was literally pumping up and I was like, what on earth am I doing? And literally had a mini meltdown. Will always takes a piss out of it for me, because it was like, Leah, you were like, went on a mad one and started trying to pump up with like 10 kg dumbbells, doing like squats and shit, because I think it just like went to my head. But you know, because in the pump up area at Universe, you could see the stage.
Yes, yeah.
And it was literally category before, and I was like, oh, and then I saw someone get moved up to my category, and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? I'm not ready for this category.
Yeah.
And that had a mini meltdown. And then they tried to put me in the wrong height class, and that just tipped me over the edge.
Oh, so stuff can go wrong, but this is why you have people around you to go, yo, cool. It's cool.
Yeah, Will was like, Leah, chill out, you're fine.
Like, just you've done it now, you're here, like, come on, let's go. Yeah, to be honest, wait, hold on. Yeah, I've not had a bad experience, so I can't really question on that. And if you have, then maybe just don't speak to certain people who aren't kind to you. That's all I would say. Some people there are obviously a few people I think who are more like, please don't talk to me, like I just can't handle talking to you and being nice to you. And that's fine, you've got to respect that. Like, some people are like that. I feel like with men it's different. With men it's very hostile for the majority, I would assume, from what I've heard, because they're very more like, oh, I'm the man. But like as girls, like we were literally backstage and we were just like all chatting.
Yeah, girls are proper friendly, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. Okay, should we do like one more each?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have actually quite a good one as well, because I feel like I'm going through it too. Any tips for the skinny fat scenario? I am 9 weeks out and trying to keep as much muscle tissue as possible, but I know losing it is inevitable. Any tips to make this as little as possible while leaning out? Now, if people don't know, skinny fat is basically where you diet down, you flatten out so your muscles don't look as full, and you kind of just look like you don't train.
Yeah, I was literally just going to say, you have to go through this like fluffy phase in the middle of prep where you start getting lean. You're not quite like lean yet, but you're like have lost like your muscle fullness. So you kind of look like a little cloud.
Yeah.
And you're just like, am I actually, do I look worse than the start? Because your fullness is gone, but you're not lean and you're in this weird like middle ground of prep.
And it's like, did I even train?
Yeah, so you just have to crack on, because as soon as you push through that phase, you'll start seeing the lines come through. But I think what a lot of people do is they think, oh my God, I'm getting flat, I need to like carb up, and then they carb up, and then you just never get through that like middle phase.
Yeah. Like you've just gotta, like, it's gonna happen, but you just gotta keep pushing. Just listen to your coach. Just
You'll look thick when you get lean.
listen to your coach. But in terms of like any tips on making like losing muscle as little as possible, what would you say?
So I just think as long as you are still training hard and pushing yourself, you're going to be limiting obviously like any potential muscle breakdown.
Yeah.
So obviously strength does tend to, you know, drop off a little bit as you get into the latter stages of prep, which is like inevitable as your food drops and things like that. But I just think as long as you are going in and training with a decent intensity, you're probably not going to lose muscle tissue realistically. Like it's relatively difficult to lose muscle tissue once you have it, unless you just like stop training. So I just think you're probably not losing as much muscle tissue as what you think, as long as you're still training at a decent intensity.
You're just flatter.
Yeah.
That's it. But I just want to specify what Leah said. The latter end of prep, like the latter end of prep is when your training should probably be at its worst. What frustrates me the most is when people start prep and instantly their training goes down the gutter, and it's like, nah, that's not what should happen. Like it's all mental game.
Yeah.
Train hard, you stick to plan. I don't think you lose as much muscle as you think that you do, because prep isn't just dieting. Prep is about a balance of getting lean enough but bringing fullness, then getting lean again, bring full. Like there's so many other elements to a prep that it's not just a diet. Like it's not just a diet. And I think if you have given yourself a long amount, let's say for example, it also depends on the time frame of your prep. If you do a really, really, really long prep and you're in a deficit for so long, and you are ridiculously stage lean for like a really long period of time, then there's really not much you can do. Like you're in a deficit for that long, like that's when it's inevitable. But if you are prepping, let's say for 20 weeks, and you know you do one show and then maybe like 2 weeks later do another one, and then maybe another one, that isn't really that bad. That's not like, that's what, maybe like 25 30 weeks in a prep. That isn't really that bad, because you've got to remember like the first 10 maybe 12 weeks of that, it's not really like, you're not really that your training should still be really, really high at high standard and stuff. So I think stop overthinking it. I think you just, but clearly you're going through the skinny fat phase scenario, so you feel like you're smaller, but you're probably just in your own head.
Yeah, and I also think as well, I remember going back to my last prep, I was still getting stronger for at least the first half of my prep. I think up to about 7 or 8 weeks out, I was still getting stronger. And then only certain lifts dropped off me, like all my pressing dropped off a bit. But I was still getting stronger until, you know, maybe 70% of the way through. And, you know, you can still technically build muscle if you're still progressing. So I think don't automatically think start prep, strength's going to drop, because it doesn't.
I hate when people do that. Like, I genuinely just think no. I'm sorry, that shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't be happening. End of. Right. Last question of the day.
Okay, last question of the day is, I'm going to do one on this because I think this is actually a really good topic. Where are we? Your advice on clothing around off-season into prep, etc., and vice versa. So I think this is basically meaning from a like bodybuilding perspective, going from like smaller like prep size to like off-season size, because obviously there's a lot of changes within like clothing sizes. I think advice is in like what to do, how to handle it, that sort of thing.
I think one of my first advices would be from being lean to gaining weight. I think for me personally, taking away a visual look whilst you're training will only benefit you. Purely based off the fact that there's mirrors everywhere. And if you are thinking about how you look and how your body looks whilst you train, your training probably isn't going to be as good because you're self-conscious, you don't feel comfortable. Personally, for me, in an off season, to be fair, I still wear crop tops and leggings. Like I just do, because I just have that mindset where I just don't care.
Yeah.
But I know that a lot of people, I know sometimes when I'm feeling a bit, I will just take away the visual aspect and I'll live my day as it is. Like
just walking a baggy tee or something.
Yeah, if I was 10 pounds heavier right now, but I had this jumper on, this same jumper, you wouldn't know. And I feel like when I'm feeling self-conscious in the gym, it's because I'm maybe wearing something really tight and I've not got anything to cover it. And then that's when I'm so conscious. I'm looking at myself in the mirror all the time and I'm not focused on my lift or my training session. So if you just take that away, you'll soon start to become more kind of confident. I think with time, I think people just understand time. You're not going to it's basically like you need time to heal and you need time to adjust. And I think people try and think, I'm going to go from being really, really lean to being really, really soft and I'm going to be okay with it. I promise you.
It does take time.
It takes time, and it takes time to get used to.
I agree. And I also think, just bear in mind, bodybuilding is extremes, right? So there's no happy ticking along content middle ground. It's either
2 weeks of each phase.
Literally. But it's either extremes, as in you feel a bit uncomfortable because maybe you're pushing that upper limit in terms of building muscle, you may be gaining a bit of body fat, or extremes as in you feel a bit like haggard and very, very lean. And I think that is just part of the sport, right? It's not comfortable, is it? You're always pushing that limit. So I think it's accepting that is what the sport is like, and also that looking at it from like a clothing wardrobe perspective, like I don't fit in the same clothes all year round. I can't fit in my clothes that I bought when I went on holiday after prep. Like I've got one of them, those tops what tie in the middle, right? And they like go over your boobs and they tie and then they hang down. It fit me so nice. It was like a nice little gentle gap, like lovely, really like floaty. Tried it on the other day. Literally the bits went over my nipples like this, and there was like this much string, and I was like, okay, I can't wear that anymore. But God. I have literally 2 different wardrobes because I put my baggy jeans on the other day, I couldn't even get them over my bum, right? So I think it's just like, I'll just laugh. I'm like, great. Put on a pair of stretchy trousers instead, because I just think like if you're doing bodybuilding and you want to go through this process, you're not going to fit in the same clothes all year round. You're not going to be the same size all year round. And it's like, it's fine at the end of the day. Like, I know you have to buy a bit more, maybe branch out on your wardrobe, but you're probably going to have different size clothes depending on where you're at, and there's nothing wrong with going out and buying the next couple of sizes up because you're trying to build muscle. Like, it's a size at the end of the day. So I think like I know when I'm in off season, when I go out, I don't really wear jeans and like tight tops. I'll wear like flare leg, like joggery trousers, or like straight leg trousers, or stuff that I just feel that isn't like really tight and digging in, because it just makes me feel a bit more comfortable.
I definitely feel like shopping is my enemy, because that is when I do feel I'm most emotional, because it used to be so easy for me to just go to the shop. But not because I was fat, not because I'm fat. I never think I'm ever fat. I never think I am like, obviously when I'm on period, maybe I feel bloated, but I'm quite self-confident. But because of the muscle, I think one thing you've also got to pay attention to is like, it's not just because you're fat, you're growing muscle, growing muscle. So like, for example, I can't fit into any jeans that will fit around my waist and my quads. And it's not because I'm fat, it's because it's just how my physique is, and it's not normal. So one thing I would say is leggings are your best friend. Leggings and elasticated bottoms are your best friend. And when you get stage lean, you're gonna have to buy new clothes anyway, because you just turn inside out. Like, it is what it is. In your off season, and to be fair, in your prep anyway, like, you'll still wear your baggy stuff that you wore for off stuff. But it's just, it's knowing that the 12 to 15 doesn't mean that you're fat. The 12
Yeah,
to 15 could
100%.
also mean because your lats are bigger. It could also mean that your quads are big. It could also mean this and that. Like, I can't fit into a size 8 top anymore, not because I'm fat. I don't hold anything in my midsection and I'm not particularly broad, but it's because where I've built muscle in certain areas, I just can't into them, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, like I'm a size 12, right? Like at the minute, and I'm like, I've gone up to a size 12 in my last like off season. And I never, like, when I was younger, I would have been like, oh my God, like, that's like, to me, when I was like a 6 to 8, when I was like late teens, I would have been like, oh my God, like, I'm
Yeah.
never gonna be a size 12. And now I'm like, actually, you know what? I don't really care. Like, it's just a number on a clothing label. So I just think, get clothes that fit, yeah. Yeah, as long as you feel good, get clothes that fit. Yeah, accept that if you're bodybuilding, you're probably gonna have to have different wardrobes depending on where you are with your goals. Bit of extra money, but hey ho. All my gym stuff did actually fit me through like prep and off season, because obviously it's stretchy, but I did have to get
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I did have to get rid of some of my like leggings and my shorts, because they were like digging in, and then I was getting like rolls overhanging, and I was like, I think I just need to like size up on the leg in front.
Sometimes you just have to accept defeat, but just take it for what it is, and just kind of try and not display any sort of like connection or feelings towards a number. Like, as long as it fits you, who fucking cares? Like,
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So that is today's episode.
That flew.
I know. I literally
Oh
was
my God.
and I was like, I can't believe what time it is right now. But that was today's episode. Hopefully answered a few of your questions, and hopefully gave you a bit more of an insight as to kind of what you should expect, some advice and everything like that. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Please do not forget to tag us in some stories if you are watching it, because we would obviously love to show our appreciation for if you are listening to it via whether that be Spotify, or YouTube. So thank you so much for listening, guys.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll be back next week.
We will be back next week. See you soon. Bye.